Hello, welcome back to my channel. Last time we talked about me moving. I'm all settled now. Everything's better. Welcome back. And today I'm very excited because I decided it is time to talk about my favorite book series. The Guardians of Ga'Hoole. Okay, so I originally got introduced to this story, and we'll get to the actual story. Don't worry, I'll make a summary of this book and a review and why you should definitely read it. But I first got acquainted with this when I actually played the game. I got it on the Wii back when I was, 13 or 14 years old, and I got it on the Wii. It was a very short game, but I loved the game. And then as I googled to see if there was more to it, I found the movie. And let me know if you ever want me to do a review on the movie. But after I watched the movie, I also learned that there are books. And since I really love the whole universe, I was like, okay, let's get the books. And it's been quite a few years since then, and finally, during COVID, I got the time to sit down and really start and genuinely read through these novels. It is written by Catherine Lasky, and it's a world of owls. And it is a very, very interesting world. And even though it's a fictional story in a completely fantasy world, I feel like you can draw a lot of parallels to our world. But anyways, let's get into the story. So the story's the first book. There's 15 books. Let's start there. There's 15 books. And the movie does not get into the 15 books. It pretty much is not the same story. It's just the same universe, kind of, not even. So the first book focuses around our main protagonist called Soren, who is an owlet. It goes about how he is born, and he has a little sister, Eglantine, and an older brother, Clud. And he is born into a nest into the Taito forest, which there is a wonderful map in the book which allows you to truly follow along the story properly, and you can always know where you are. So, long story short, Soren is born in the forest of the Taito. He is a barn owl, which is important for later. He is a certain type of owl, and his brother is older than him, and he is very, very awful. Like, his brother essentially bullies him since he was born, acts really rude, talks awful things. It's just, you kind of get the feeling that his brother is not the best dude. Other than his brother, his sister, and his parents, in the nest there's also this other character. She's called Mrs. P, and she is a blind white snake. Which is, again, these are details that all kind of throughout the books are really important, and I'm pretty sure that Mrs. P is in the movie, but not completely certain. But she is their caretaker. She's kind of their nanny. She takes care of the owlets whilst they're home and the parents are out hunting. And I really, just the world building is fantastic. Like, from the first chapter, you really get a sense of the world, and as you go through the story, as I said, with the map, you really explore what is happening in the story, like where is everything. So a tragedy happens one day, and Soren falls out of his nest whilst his parents are out hunting, which is very tragic because it essentially means that he will die. He hasn't learned how to fly yet. He hasn't had all of his sentimental ceremonies of growing up, like having his first meat, having his first pellet, like eating real food without his parents' help. Like, if you think that this is kind of like, oh, they're owls but they'll behave like humans, no, like this story really focuses on them being owls and sticking to that. Like, they really build the world around these characters being birds, all of them. Like, well, not every character, like Mrs. P is a snake, but like it's a world of birds. Yeah, Soren falls out of the nest and someone picks him up, and at first he doesn't know who picks him up, but he senses something is really wrong. He's in the claws of a big bird wearing metal claws. It's another owl. He's very confused, very scared. On the way, like he's going somewhere, and then on the way, these other owls carrying other little baby owlets start amassing around each other, and he talks to one of the other owlets and learns that their name is Gylfie, and she is a burrowing owlet. She is a much smaller type of owl, and she tells him that they're being kidnapped and they're going to the Saint Aegolius Academy for Orphans. And the reason she knows this is because she lives in an area much closer to where this Saint Aegolius place is. So there have been already lots of stories of the kidnappings and the things that have happened. So she kind of knows what's going on in there. So they're brought to this new place, and it's awful. It is awful. It is. It is a place where they kidnap little children and force them into labor, slavery, and it's awful. It's awful. It's traumatizing. The book does not spare you how traumatizing it is. They cannot ask questions. They are forced to work. They're separated into different work groups, and they are literally magically brainwashed. Like, there are these magical crystals that we don't know much about yet, that they have to stay under the moon every night awake around these crystals. Like, the crystals are in this place, not like right in front of them, and they have to stare at the moon looking like this to get brainwashed. And there is this section where Gylfie and Soren avoid getting brainwashed by figuring out a really smart way to stay awake, and they tell each other stories of the Guardians of Gahul, like the name of the books. And they tell each other stories of how noble and great these owls are, and that there's hope in the world. And it's a really touching story in this book, particularly of surviving through such difficulty. So Soren and Gylfie, they're incredibly smart. They really get through a lot of this book by their wits, and it's incredible, and you really get to know these characters up close, but not only. So as Soren and Gylfie kind of settle into the rhythm of this, and they kind of get adjusted to the horrors around them, and they learn how to deal with the whole situation without much harm to themselves, they meet gradually. They understand that one of the other owls or owlets in there is not brainwashed. And it is so interesting how they build it. Like, she seems like she is perfectly brainwashed, and that's what ticks them off. Like, how is it possible someone is so cleanly brainwashed? So what happens is Gylfie is working in the Aegorium, which is a place where they don't kidnap just little owlets, like little children. They also kidnap eggs. Like, they just steal eggs, and then they force other owls that are not even of the same species to sit on these eggs so that they hatch. Yeah, don't think about it too much. So they meet this other owl, and they learn that she isn't actually an owlet. She isn't a baby. She actually grew up. But it's just that it seems like she is a baby because she has a disease that prevented her from ever growing up. And she has been saving eggs by working in the Aegorium and sneaking them out with the help of some eagles. So let me recap. We have Soren and Gylfie, main two characters, and then we have new adult girl and then her eagle friends. Okay, so these are, like, let's say some of the characters. And then another important character, which is kind of, you don't need, like, obviously the point of this video is go read the book, but I'm kind of summarizing the whole story just to show you how good the story gets. But then they also meet another owl who, he is not brainwashed, but he's willing to work for these awful, well, not people, but like awful organization, this awful organization, because the organization is threatening his family. So in order to keep his family safe, he is making sure that he's working for them. And he sees Soren and Gylfie and decides to help them. So secretly he starts teaching them how to fly. which is a very big deal because not only have they not learned to fly, but this organization, this academy, will never allow them to fly. They even pluck their feathers so that they can never fly. It's pretty dark. But anyways, so Soren and Gylfi one night go over to the girl who is saving eggs, and they want to leave with the eagles. They want to escape through the same place she is managing to push out the eggs. But unfortunately, the mistress of the organization finds them. Soren and Gylfi hide and they kill, or it seems like they kill the girl who is saving the eggs. They throw her off a cliff, and Soren and Gylfi think that this is the end of everything, of their plans and of everything. But luckily they manage to escape because this leader lady, like the awful leader lady, is wearing metal claws, and she gets magnetized, slammed to the wall, and they manage to escape, right? Like by the feathers of their neck, like they barely manage to escape, and everyone is like, whew, like, gosh damn, that was a trip. It's a trip, but they manage to escape. They make it out alive. You know, like, obviously they don't feel safe, but this is the first time they've ever seen the real world. This is the first time in their life they're flying, and they're out, and they land on a tree, and on that tree is a mysterious voice that speaks to them. And that's how the book ends. Yeah, it's one hell of a book, and it's one incredible story, and I really wish that they would have done with this what they did with Harry Potter, because this feels a lot like Harry Potter because there's a lot of magical stuff happening, except that they're owls, but it's also a lot more mature. I feel like Harry Potter was very much a children's book, whereas this is more like teen book. I would never call this like a adult or young adult book because it's still incredible fantasy, and it still very much is made like, these are, as you can see, it's quite short books. It's not a complicated read. It flows very nicely, but it tackles, as you could see, very severe topics through its narrative, like exploitation of children, kidnapping, there's also aspects of, bird types of racism, which in the movie are far more prevalent because they kind of, like, we'll get to that. In the other books, the story obviously develops much further, but in the series you get so many explorations of various topics. Like it gets to war, it gets to trauma. Obviously it explores very deeply trauma. It explores violence in the world. It explores so many different topics that I don't feel Harry Potter ever did. And it's kind of strange, like, why am I talking about Harry Potter when these are birds? But as you read the pages of the book and kind of the world comes together, you start to get a sense of, like, this feels like Harry Potter, even though the story has nothing to do. It's not even about magicians, it's about birds. It's like, it's nothing to do, but it's just the visuals that I get in my head are kind of this aesthetic that the Harry Potter movies had. And that's where I draw the parallels. But I really love these books. Like, I would love to talk about all of the books that I've read. I actually have not managed to finish the whole series because I have not been able to find where to buy the last few books. I don't know. I think that they might be out of printing already, or I have trouble finding them. But from the ones I have read, I would love to do a book review on all of them because holy cow, I love these books. They're so good. Like, they got me through quarantine. Like, having 10 books like that, and I would just grab it and read one every day. It was so good. So 10 out of 10 would recommend. At least grab the first one and see what you think. I really love this book. So thank you for watching. I hope you will like, subscribe if you want to see me, if you want to see, I don't have a dog here, but, one moment. If you want to see my bear again. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't, or wait, I'll do you one up. If you want to see Jiraiya again. So if you ever want to see me again, if you're curious about other reviews, if you're curious, if you want to see my face again and hear my voice, please subscribe. And if you like this video and if you liked this kind of book review, please like, comment down below if you would want me to review the movie or if you have any books to recommend. And okay, yeah, bye!